We're back, and Top Gear Series 27 is in full swing. Last night, Top Gear Series 27 returned to BBC Two with brand new hosts Paddy McGuinness and Freddie Flintoff. I'll admit I was a little bit I was open-minded coming into this series, although I didn't have very high expectations going into the series based on what we saw previously. But in the end, the three presenters lineup and the comedic side of Paddy McGuinness and the international name that Freddie Flintoff has behind him for playing cricket at 22 years of age kind of adds to the whole global audience of Top Gear of which it once had, and quite frankly so has once more. I wasn't expecting this lineup to work. I had a little bit of hope about it, but I wasn't overly hopeful about the whole thing, to be honest. First of all, the programme starts off with the greeting of the three hosts and then references to the many regenerations of Doctor Who, and then also making reference to the past series of Top Gear that have come before it. After the greeting of the new hosts and what's coming up in the next few weeks or whatever, typical BBC stuff, the audience is then thrown straight into the action, where the presenters Paddy, Chris and Freddie are told to go off to Ethiopia, the birthplace of humankind, and are told to basically buy their first cars. Now, what I thought was very interesting was, at 22 years of age for a professional cricketer, Freddie Flintoff's first car was a Porsche Boxster. Now, going off insurance nowadays for these cars, they are impossible to insure unless you are 25 years or older, because other than that it's impossible to get insurance on a car that is pretty much out of your league until you're 25 years of age. That might work in the other countries like the UK or something, but definitely trying to get insured on a car when you're not 25 years of age is frankly impossible and just a no-go. And I know this from my good friend Richard Johnston. So Richard, if you're watching this, shout out to you. Throughout the many talks of Porsches and insurance on different cars, look at where we got to. The next one was Paddy's first car, which was a Mark II Ford Escort. Now, he claims that Ford is a British motor company. Paddy, if you're watching this, Ford is an American car company, not British. If you're going to state something, state it with proper fact. And I thought what was funny was when Ford was designing the Ford Mustang, they were given code names. Now, Ford Mustang, Project Falcon. There was another one, another type of Ford that was named Project Phoenix. And the Ford Escort, Project Brenda. Now, whoever comes up with a name such as Brenda, Brenda's a nice name, but it wouldn't be a name that was given to a car. Although in this case, Ford decided to name the development stage of the Ford Escort Brenda. I mean, come on. You gave your other two cars fantastic names, Falcon, Phoenix, and then you come up with this and you give them Brenda. I mean, of all the names that you could have chosen, you chose to pick Brenda. Anyway, moving on from that, we have Chris Harris in what looks to be a slightly older version of the Mini. Now, it's all very interesting, and I like the Mini, as I don't like the newer versions of the Mini. The Mini Clubman is just one of those cars that I just don't like, simply because of the size, and I think the Mini, as it is, should be a small car, not a big Land Rover type Jeep, which is what Mini and most car companies are doing now. They're taking sports cars and turning them into SUVs. Mercedes are doing this, Porsche are doing this, Lamborghini are doing this with the Urus, and sure, sooner or later many other car companies such as Aston Martin and that will follow. But what I found interesting is that after choosing the three cars, the Porsche, the Ford and the Mini, the three presenters had to go through different challenges. And the first challenge was basically a rally circuit, and what you had to do was you had to drive all the way around the circuit in your chosen car, and then you had to reverse back reverse back to the start. So if the start was on a gravel hill, you had to start there, drive all the way around, reverse back onto the gravel hill and beat a time. Now, Chris Harris ended up winning this challenge with a 1:22.6 or 1:21, 1 minute 21 seconds. Paddy came in second with 1:22.66, and then Freddie was last as a DNF. So, and the forfeit basically was the losing presenter of the challenge had to wear a wool heavy knitted jumper until the next challenge. Now, going by the sweltering Ethiopian heat of 40 degrees, it wasn't the nicest. They continued down the road, and then they came to the next challenge. The next challenge was to, I can't remember what the next challenge was, but whatever it was, the outcome of it was that, oh yeah, the next challenge was to so they had to find a runway, and they had to get in the car and reach 40 kilometers blindfolded before hitting the cone at the other end. Now, this was very funny because first off, they had to do it blindfolded, and when they reached 40 degrees, an app on a phone would beep saying that they'd done that, and they'd go off in loads of different directions and whatnot. But Paddy McGuinness got the closest to the cone, that is, and then Freddie came second with as close to, I'd say it was about, he was here and the cone was there, so there was about that much space in between each one. And then the loser of this team was the loser of this challenge was Chris Harris. So obviously, going by what was set, what precedent was set in the previous challenge, going by the precedent that was set in the previous challenge, the losing team member had to wear the woolly jumper. Obviously, the losing team member in this challenge was Chris Harris. So, inevitably, Chris Harris had to wear the woolly jumper until the end of the challenge, which he did. And he to be honest, he wasn't feeling very nice. He wasn't feeling very well after it, because at the time, the Ethiopian heat had reached above 40 degrees, and he was stuck in a car, basically melting and severely dehydrated. So then they went on to the Epiosde triangle, which is like, I suppose it's like the Bermuda Triangle but this is the FR triangle of Ethiopia, and the presenters then, they get on their, they go in their cars, go to the FR triangle. At this point, Freddie has taken half his car off and gotten rid of it to reduce weight and fix the fans, because he had problems with fans in the car. And then Paddy McGuinness gets a flat tyre earlier on in the film, and also the Ford Escort ends up towing the Porsche Boxster because the engine gave in or whatnot, and I don't know what happened, but the Ford Escort managed to tow the Porsche Boxster, and in the end they were all happy. And then the challenge was over, and then they started to speak. Chris started talking about the brand new Ferrari 488 Pista against the McLaren 600 LT, which is modelled off of the McLaren 720S. The same body, slightly different changes, made more aerodynamic by tinning the glass down by I think 15 or 10%, shaving off weight slightly. Whole body's made of carbon fibre, and it was actually, it's cheaper than the 488 Pista. It came in at like £2,400, whereas the Ferrari was like £5,700, which was like £4,000 cheaper. £4,000 more expensive than, I don't know what way it was. It worked out cheaper anyway. But yeah, so that happened. They gave road tests and whatnot, and then in the end, Chris had said that he'd take home the McLaren because it's cheaper than the Ferrari, and it's just a nicer car to look at. Maybe slower than the Ferrari. Definitely, it was definitely slower than the Ferrari. The Ferrari beat it when they did the race. The Ferrari beat it by a good few seconds. But he said basically the McLaren is a gentleman's car. The McLaren is a lot nicer to drive, and it's a lot nicer to look at, and it's a nice engine sound off it as well. So he went home with that one, and then the episode then kind of, they took the Stig went around the track and whatnot, and then I can't remember, I think it was the Ferrari, or the Ferrari beat the Porsche GT2 RS with a 1:14.1 I think on the power lap times, and then they continued their Ethiopian film, did a studio link, and then ended the episode. So overall, I think the chemistry between the brand new presenters would bounce off each other for however many weeks we have them left on BBC Two, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the rest of the series brings with new faces and a new set of comedic banter between the three of them. And throughout the promotional run of the series, there have been interviews, there have been quizzes, there have been trailers upon trailers of the new series trying to promote it, and being honest, it was a brilliant opener, and they've redesigned the studio slightly. They've given it brighter lights and whatnot, which is a step in the right direction for the remainder of this series. So this has been my review of episode 1 of the brand new series. I'll see you again next Monday at the same time for a review of episode 2. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you at the same time next week.